Yo, what's going on? So, I don't know if you all are familiar with what happened today in Philadelphia, West Philadelphia, that is. There was a shooting, at the Eid festival. So, for those that don't know what the Eid festival is, it's a festival that Muslims have when they've reached the end of the Ramadan, the end of their Ramadan. You know what I'm saying? So this was a festival where it was thousands of people out there. It was a big event. You had family, you had friends, you had children out there. It was peaceful. And all of a sudden, a shooting breaks out and a couple people injured. And if I'm not mistaken, for now, there's one guy that got shot in the stomach. One kid is 23 years old, got shot in the stomach. And that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Here it is. It's a peaceful event. And someone brings a gun, or it might have been more than one person, brings guns to a peaceful event. And someone gets shot and others got injured. And then you had kids out there. So now you have people that are traumatized. This is in West Philly. And then, upon looking at what went on today, just a couple of days ago, they had 3 people that got shot and one of them got killed, if I'm not mistaken. 3 people definitely got shot. I think only one died. In West Philly. This is just ridiculous, man. The North, I know right now, nowadays, southern cities like Atlanta, Charlotte, Houston, Dallas are popping. So nobody really, the Southerners, they're not really concerned about what's going on up north. But up north, man, please. Places like Philly, Baltimore, please, the Bronx, Brooklyn, they wildin'. That's real talk. I remember, I used to go get my bootleg movies and all that shit back in the late 90s or whatever, early 2000s, you know what I'm saying? Get my DVDs and CDs, all of that stuff, I used to sell. I used to get all my stuff, go up to New York, get all my stuff and come back down, allegedly, come back down and sell it, down south. But, oftentimes I would take Amtrak. And Amtrak, you would go through, Baltimore and Philly, and I would see these row houses and I'd be like, man, this shit is crazy. This shit is crazy. Yeah, true indeed. I lived in New York, and of course, people stayed on top of each other. Aura infringement like a motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? High-rise buildings and people living in buildings, it's hundreds upon people in one building. But those row houses, living back to 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 back, it's like, god damn. I couldn't live like that. You know what I'm saying? When I used to look at The Wire, I was like, yo, I've literally seen that shit. I've literally seen that. I've literally been to areas that look just like The Wire. You know what I'm saying? Baltimore, and it goes all the way from Baltimore, Philly, and then you got some that look like that in Newark, Teaneck, and all of them areas and shit. Camden. They're all similar. Camden is right next door to Pennsylvania. And it's crazy, man. Living up north, man, it's just something different. That's why the Northerners, when they come down here, they're like, yo, why y'all wilding? Why people shooting and killing each other? Y'all got trees, bees, flowers, crickets that chirp at night. What y'all wilding for? If anything, the people up north should be wilding because it's literally a concrete jungle. I had a dude that I was cool with, lived in Camden. And I went there a few times and I'm like, yo, man, I'm ready to go. And I lived in New York. I was born in New York, and there's places that I've been to in Jersey And I'm like, yo, man, I'm ready to fucking go. I don't even feel safe out this bitch. Real talk. And see, let me tell you something. I'm not the one to like, because it's all said and done. This shit has been documented. So it ain't like I'm snitching, but yo, people used to take their shahadas. There used to be criminals that used to take their shahadas and shit, be wearing the beards and shit, you know what I'm saying, pretending to be Muslims. But the reality of it is they still was crooked. Look up the black Muslim mafia. Motherfuckers was in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. They was terrible. Like that character that I forgot the name of the character on The Wire that was a Muslim. That was real. You had motherfuckers like that. And it wasn't just in, far as dealing with Islam. It was people in the Nubian nation that was crooked. And they would just become members because they was ducking and hiding from the cops. So in reality, you had motherfuckers that were acting like they were religious, acting like they were about, you know what I'm saying, power to the people and all the rest of that shit, while and they were still doing the same crooked ass, running the fucking games and selling drugs and doing all types of shit that they were doing in the streets. Like, let's be real. I mean, like, I ain't trying to be funny, but this is the truth. Like, the whole beard and all of that shit and taking your shahada and all of that, man, that shit is a trend. Just think about it. Arab is a fucking Muslim. I'm not saying right now about Beanie Siegel and Freeway where their life is right now, but at their peak, Arab, Freeway, Beanie Siegel at their peak, you know what I'm saying? When they were in the industry like that, when they were popping, with Rockefeller, I'm saying like Beanie Siegels and Freeway, they were Muslims and they were talking about shooting and killing people, selling drugs and all the rest of that shit. You know what I realized? And it didn't take Dr. York to write a book called Are There Black Devils? You know what I realized, man? The Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad, Farrakhan talked about white devils. And they talked about the double-headed scientists called Yaqub that grafted. This is the doctrine that they used to run with. That grafted the white man out of the black man. And how the white man was here to rule over the black man, etc., right? And even in the Holy Tablets that Dr. York wrote, he talked about Yaqub, right? And in the 90s, we used to run with that shit. How the white man was the devil. But you start to realize that not only can a devil be, first and foremost, you start to realize that the devil is not a single one person. And it's more like an entity, you know, like it can be in anyone. That color, the color or lack of your color or pigmentation doesn't make a difference. You could be white, black, purple, green, yellow, orange. And one thing that I realized as far as dealing with the black race, the worst devil that can exist in the black race is the black devil. Cause see, you can see other people coming. You can see other devils coming from a distance. But when you are dealing with your own brother and your own sister, you wouldn't think. You wouldn't think that they are black devils. But I'm starting to realize that shit. Those are the ones that bring guns to a peaceful festival. Those are the ones that wreak havoc in our communities. Those are the ones that don't give a fuck whether children are out in the street playing, whether your grandmother's walking home from work, or your mom is jogging, exercising, while you see your op, and your opposition looks just like you, live in the same neighborhood. Y'all might have just had a simple ass disagreement, but your feelings are hurt. Maybe he pulled your card. Maybe it's some shit that occurred that could have just been a simple disagreement, but you blew it out of proportion. Why? Because you a black devil. And I've met so many of those people. So many of them. Hell, they were in my bookstore. Not my bookstore, but in our bookstore. Most of them were the elders, the older ones. As far as dealing with the cult that I was involved in. You know how many stories I've heard? As far as dealing with the cult, the Nubian Nation, prior to me joining the cult, when they're still there in Bushwick Avenue, how niggas would get fucked up if they didn't have their turn in. This is crazy. This is crazy. Islam is overall a peaceful religion. And I just can't believe that someone would want to be a part of a peaceful religion knowing that you're violent, knowing that you're deceitful, knowing that when you took your shahada, that you didn't change, that you were bringing all of the negativity in, and never thinking about being positive. It was never a thought. It's crazy, man. Most people are lost in the streets. They're into the streets to the point where they're willing to do any and everything for the streets. I've ran into so many people like that, man. They got Muslim names. You know what I'm saying? They may read the Holy Quran every now and then. They perform. Some of these people are to the extreme where they'll perform salat. They'll five prayers out of the day. But you still shooting. You still selling drugs. You still doing all of the shit that you don't supposed to do. You supposed to be a changed man. Some of them even practice Ramadan, but still be out in the streets. That should be crazy to me. Like, this ain't nothing new. This ain't nothing new. Like yo, all that shit that was going on with back in the days with the black mafia, black Muslim mafia, and all that shit. People, they finding people dead and all the rest of that shit. That shit was all in Philadelphia. Man, this shit was crazy, man. I'm telling you, do your research. They weren't the ones to fuck with. And it seems as though that is little specks of them still going on to this day. That shit is crazy, man. Ab, you know what I'm saying? He's in jail now. And he was a Muslim. And look how much shit, when they call him, matter of fact, this is crazy. How the fuck you snitch on yourself? Straight up. Ab should beat his own ass. He snitched on himself. He went online. Like, you could talk about how Vlad asked him certain questions, you know what I'm saying, and Vlad works for the, you know what I'm saying, the Alphabet Boys and all the rest of that shit. You can say what you want to say, man. I've seen several interviews with Ab has told on himself without even anyone asking him any type of questions. Straight up. It's like, how do you become a Muslim and and you just as bad as you were prior to you becoming a Muslim. Like, to me, it's not surprising this Eid festival would happen. It's what surprises me is that there used to be certain type of rules and regulations. You know what I'm saying? So you might have not got at that nigga at the Eid festival, but to hear that they I don't know if they caught the man or whatever, but to hear that the person that got shot just as well as the shooter is Muslim, or shooters are Muslim, that ain't nothing new. When they catch them, and if the shooters, all of them have beards and shit, and that ain't nothing new. That's some regular Philly shit. That's the trend. This started happening in the early 2000s, where everybody was wearing beards. You know what I'm saying? It's the beard of the prophets and shit. Like, you know, Rick Ross didn't start that shit. Like, Philly kind of started that shit, wearing beards and all of that, but they got that from the Muslims. Man, it should be crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, you can't be safe anywhere. You just can't be safe anywhere. You know what I'm saying? I just looked on Atlanta News and a motherfucker got shot at an appliance store. How do you get, what the fuck? No, seriously, how do you get shot at an appliance store? The one that shot the dude at the appliance store, they wound up going on the GPD, Georgia, what is it? No, what is it? Is it Georgia PD? I think it's Georgia State Police or some shit like that. Georgia State Police, Clayton County Police, they went on a speed chase with the dude that shot the guy shot the guy at the appliance store. Right? The guy gets into a wreck and he shoots and kills himself. 28 years old. And the guy that's at the appliance store, he's in critical condition. Can't make this shit up. How do you get shot at an appliance store? What are you arguing about? What kind of paint I'm gonna use? Or yo, you can't use this arm. I mean, what the fuck do you argue about at an appliance store at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? This is broad daylight, off of Piedmont Road in Buckhead. It should be crazy, man. But this is what we have to deal with as black people. Yeah, man. I get tired of doing these videos. I really do. This person got shot. This person got shot. This person got shot and killed. This person got shot and killed. You know what I'm saying? Just a couple of days ago, they found a dude. I don't know if you all heard about this. I didn't even want to do a video about this shit. I think I did. I mentioned it, but I didn't do a whole video about it. You know what I'm saying? So let me take it back a little bit. Let me backtrack a little bit. So they found a mother in, was it West Charlotte? Either was North or West Charlotte. About a couple weeks ago. They found her dead. Her 2 children dead in the apartment, right? So they looking for the person that did it. They wound up finding this dude a couple of days ago in California. Guy killed the daughter and her 2 children. They found one of the daughters in the dude's trunk with some air fresheners and shit. So the body won't. All I can say is, man, there's black devils on this planet. Just like there's white devils, there's green devils, there's purple devils, there's orange devils. You know what I'm saying? It's just that plain and simple. And the only thing that I could tell you, because I want to give you all a solution. I just don't want to talk about some shit and then, people begin, I don't want to get people nervous and scared and shit to go outside and shit like that. But for the most part, man, I would tell you, don't sleep. Don't sleep. If you are in a city and state that allows you to, open and carry, or conceal and carry, do it. Exercise your constitutional right, your Second Amendment to bear arms. And it's just that plain and simple. You got to be ready. And you can't be sleeping out here in these streets. You just can't. You can't do it. Not nowadays. Maybe years ago, but not now. Because anything can happen at anywhere, any given place, and people don't like. Nowadays, it's these innocent looking people that's just like, man, you telling me he's a serial killer? Ain't no way in the world. Yes. Don't ever underestimate anyone. Yeah, look out for yourself, your family. Take care of your family. It's just that plain and simple. You know what I'm saying? Get your family involved. Teach them, how to use a firearm. Teach them how to clean it. Practice gun safety. Just make sure that you good. And it's just that plain and simple, man. Other than that, man, there's a war going on. There's a war going on, man. And you got to be ready if it just so happens to come to your front door.